So welcome to Pilates on the mat. So grab a blanket if you like, something for a cushion under your knees, your hips, or your buns. Go ahead and grab an elevated space or something nearby that you can put your hands on if you're working on those elevated options, such as a plank with hands elevated, that sort of thing. So go ahead and just make yourself at home, get comfortable. Let's get started right here. So actually we'll start, surprise, we're going to start in a mermaid today. What? I know, mind's blown. So we're going to start here today with a little zigzag of the legs. So you could take the legs and just kind of take one leg. So I'm going to take this top leg and drop it down over the bottom leg. So it's just resting in the arch of that foot. This will be a little less intense on this outside hip. So go ahead, the leg that's on top, not as much of an internal rotation as intense on that side. So see if that feels okay for you. If it does not, real quick you can grab your blanket and elevate your sit bones a little. If you sit up a little bit taller, this gives you a little more space, right? So that and especially on the right side. So if you're mirroring me, your left leg is on top on the outside and your right leg is underneath. So that sit bone, if you elevate that side of it, you're not going to lean as much over. So maybe just elevate only the right sit bone, the side that you're leaning toward right now. So sitting up nice and tall, and we'll just take a big deep breath in to start, sweeping up, and then go ahead and reach it over for a big side stretch. Inhale, we're just going to come up. We're not going to go all the way back over to the opposite side. We're going to reach up to the center, and then exhale, reach it over. Starting to get a little more space between the ribs. Inhale. If it does still bother this bottom leg, just shoot that leg out. It's okay. You don't have to have the knee bent. So it's no need in putting yourself in a lot of pain and discomfort just to be sitting in the pose the way that I've described it. It's okay. Okay, so take that over one more time. Big deep breath. And then bring it back to center. Now reaching up, bring that other arm over. So right arm is going to land to the floor. And then walk it out, drop the elbow down, reach over. Let's straighten out the top leg, reach it long on the mat. Now notice if your elbow has kind of tucked up underneath you, walk it out so that your elbow and shoulder are more in line. Well, inhale, drop that top leg down. Exhale, lift it up and reach. Okay. So inhale, bring it down. Exhale and reach. Inhale. So it's again here, I want you to just notice if you're leaning back. So I do still have this blanket a little bit under my bottom hip, but I'm trying to lean forward a little bit to the front of my body. So leaning to that bent knee that's in the front, rather than leaning back and hinging from your hip. So I want you to be lifting straight over to the side here. You might even kind of gently just turn your chest slightly toward the floor. Okay, let's try 3 more. That leg is going straight out from the hip. And 2. Last 1. And just take a little pause here. You can keep your arm lifted or take your hand to your hip. We'll bring that leg forward and then take it back. Inhale, bring it forward, and exhale back. So we're trying to eliminate any shifting of the upper body forward or back, and just really using the muscles through the center of the body and your glutes to move that leg. So we're keeping the core active and long. Take the top waist, make it really long, and then activate through your glutes. So pull back that leg. Inhale, exhale, 1 more. So with your arm up, it may not even just be bothering your shoulder. At some point, it could bother your neck. So holding that arm up might bother your neck. So take note, see how you feel. Okay, give me 1 more. And then bring it back into center. Good. Let's bend the knee and then kick the heel out. Inhale and exhale. Deep breath. Kick it out. And last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Go ahead and come up. We're just going to come into cross-legged. So again, if you're sitting on something, you can bring it all the way underneath you. I want you to bring that outside, the leg you were moving. If you're mirroring me again, that's your left leg. bring that left leg in front. So either seated in a traditional kind of crisscross leg position, or you can place that left leg on top if it feels okay to do so. And then just bring yourself gently forward. Now we can feel it. It is awake. It is on fire. It's already working quite a bit today. So we're going to get a nice little stretch here. Go ahead and round yourself out. Come back up. Let's just do a few seated cat-cows while we're here. So we're going to shift forward and exhale, rock it back. Inhale, coming forward. And exhale, pulling back. Just take that one more time. Inhale and exhale. Come back to center. We'll switch sides. I'm going to take that right leg on top this time. So again, just mirroring. So if you're facing forward toward me, it would just look like you're sitting in front of a mirror. Okay, so that right leg on top. I've got the left sit bone propped up a little bit more to give me a little more space. So inhale, sweep the left arm up and reach over to the right side. Inhale, it should feel pretty good after that last movement. Okay, exhale, reach. Inhale, coming back up. See if you can lean into it with the whole side body, reaching over. And if you have limited mobility or range of motion in your shoulder, you can even just take your shoulder right here, or your hand to your shoulder and reach and see if you get a little bit more. Sometimes the arm going over the head may kind of restrict you, feeling like you're kind of being drawn in. And maybe instead you want to place your hand on your hip or just on the opposite shoulder, and you can just lean into it. Okay, so let's take two more right here. Inhale and exhale. Find the right spot for your particular shoulder and hand. And then one more. Up and over, making space through the side waist, and then bring it back down. So I'm coming all the way over and then slide that hand out. So now the elbow is under the shoulder. Go ahead and take the top leg straight, and then we'll reach the arm out. So here I want you to really lift your bottom waist. So instead of keeping it down and keeping that little curve that we've got going, I want you to lift that up and see how that leg just looked like it got longer. So now inhale and exhale, lift. Roll your hip and your chest slightly forward just a little bit, and see if you can keep that bottom waist really long. Like there's the resistance is you lifting the leg and not hinging in your waist. So I want you to keep that waist really long. Inhale, exhale, lift. So noticing your bottom waist is just as long the whole time. So you could even hold it like I'm doing now, and make sure it's not moving. You don't want to feel any additional movement here. Your core is just firing off for control. Okay, last 3, 2, and last 1. Good. We'll take that arm up, or you can rest your hand on your hip, bring it forward, and then flex, push back through the heel, engage the glutes, keep the ribs in. Okay, bring it forward. I'm just going slightly past my hip line toward the wall behind me. Leg is very straight. Inhale, and that waist is still long. Exhale. Once again, if it starts to bother your top shoulder, keeping that arm up, or your neck, you can either place your hand on your hip. You can also turn and look down at the floor to kind of release your neck. Inhale, exhale. Last 3. Keeping everything really steady. So especially if that arm is up, note if it's kind of wobbling around. Super steady here. Last one. Hold it right at center, and then just bend, pull the knee in, and kick. Okay. So you're just pulling the knee in toward the chest and then pushing out through the heel. Inhale and exhale. When you do that, you're trying not to, again, move the body back. So whenever you bend that knee in, try not to sink down or round back. We're staying lifted, long, engaged. Take a deep breath, exhale it out. Last 3 and 2. Last 1. And bring it down. Good. Bend that knee, come back up. Again, you can slide your item underneath your hips and bring your right leg on top of the leg that you were working. Okay, bring that leg and either stack it on top or just stack it in front. So whichever one works better for you. Sitting tall, inhale, and then exhale, start to bring yourself forward into a nice little forward bend here. So only go as far as you comfortably can. When you find that spot where it's like not moving any further, that's okay. Just stay there, take a couple breaths. We're not trying to force anything, just gentle movements, gentle breath here. And we'll come up. Let's do those cat-cows again. Lifting, inhale, and exhale. Bring it back. Inhale. And exhale. Let's take two more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, scooping and rounding back. And then just give me last one. We're going to pause. Come on over to a table position or a table. Actually, I lied. Stay there for a second. I want you to really focus here before we get too much further on what's happening here with the hip flexors and with your glutes, how they work together. So primary, there's more than one hip flexor, but primary hip flexor that we hear all the time is our psoas. Right, that muscle attaches inside the leg here. It runs through your pelvis and actually all the way into your back. So sometimes when you have back pain, it's not just your back muscles. It's actually this hip flexors. It's the muscles that help you to hinge and move forward and that lift your legs. And that can get very, very tight, especially if we sit a lot. So it gets shortened and tightened. So also that hip flexor, so while we start to work on this, I want you to know the why of what you're doing here. So the intention of really engaging this core, deep core, is because the core has to fire first. The core needs to be focused and working before the hip flexor starts to work, okay? The hip flexor should be secondary. So what tends to happen, hip flexor fires first, we use it, we overuse it, it gets burned out, and we have a lot of pain. So let's try to sit up nice and tall. I'm just gonna turn to the side a little bit, okay? So you can kind of follow along here. I'm going to turn so you can see. So I'm just going to take I'll tell you which leg it is. And right leg is out. Just pick one side. I'm going to keep the other leg in front of me. If it's uncomfortable for the knee, just keep a little soft knee bent on a knee on that side as well, so that it can tuck it under you if you like. So I want you to sit up nice and tall. Your hands are going to be kind of framing right here around that front leg. The leg is not completely straight. The knee is bent. We're going to inhale. Take a deep breath. Start to exhale before you do anything else. I want you to exhale, blow out that breath. Really forceful, like you're driving up all the way from your pelvic floor up to your sternum and then wrapping your girdle around your waist. So there's two things that are really happening there. Okay, so take that breath again. Now this time, as you start to exhale, you should feel the engagement through your core. And then I want you to think about slowly lifting that heel off the floor. And then bring it down, not by hinging your knee, okay, but just by lifting from your hip, but keeping your core active. So let's try that again, sitting up nice and tall, shoulders relaxed, but your ribs are down. Inhale, fingertips to the floor, exhale, try to lift and bring it down. Now, ideally, we're not gonna feel a big sharp pain or any burning in that hip flexor. If you do, it's not wrong. It's just maybe more work is needed and we need to focus there a little more. Okay, so I want you to focus that it's more your core than your hip flexor. So let's do it two more times. And here you can play with, if you're feeling pretty confident about that, you can lift your hands and try it. Okay, so inhale, exhale, and then bring it back down. Let's try one more. Notice if you're rounding or shrugging when you do that. Relax, shake it out, get ready, let's go. Inhale. Exhale, then lift, finish that breath, and bring it down. There should have been more shaking in your core than in your leg. All right, that's the one way to look at it. All right, so we're going to switch sides. So take the other leg out, the opposite leg can bend in, or again, you can just keep a soft bend on that knee as well. Sitting up tall. So again, I really want you to just put your mind's eye in your core. No, that's what you're focused on. A pelvic floor engaging. Inhale. Start the exhale. Then start to lift. And bring it down. So notice I'm also not leaning back. So I'm really, really, really focused on stabilizing the core first and then lifting that leg. So core, then hip flexor. Inhale. Exhale. Float it after you start your exhale. and bring it down. We'll try 2 more. Stay lifted and tall. Inhale. If you're feeling really confident and strong there, maybe go ahead and float the hands. Bring it down. So imagine same action like when you're in dead bug or you're lying on your back. Kind of the same action here. Hips and ribs feel like they're kind of connecting, not tucking or rounding. Okay, inhale. Brace through your core. Pull up through your pelvic floor. And then bring it back down. All right. Now we're going to move on to the opposite. So opposing muscle groups, your glutes. Let's flip it on over. So we're going to be in tabletop position. Okay, so these are all great focused exercises that we can do to make sure that we're really firing off where we think we're firing off. Otherwise, we're just kind of going through the motions, and this is kind of how we tend to get those repetitive stress injuries, going through motions and not really realizing what which muscles are firing off and maybe which muscles are compensating. So here, go ahead and bring yourself all the way down onto your elbows, just so we have a little bit more leverage here to lift that leg. Okay, so your hands can be on the floor, or you can have your palms facing in. Just try not to smash your palms together. Okay, but do press into your forearms as well. So shoulders are drawn back, pull up through your rib cage, but then also continue to kind of keep your neck long, looking just straight down at the mat. Little nod in the neck, little nod through the head. Okay, so we're going to take that left leg back first. So I want you to take a deep breath in, engage your core. Start to exhale. You're still doing the same thing here, pulling pelvic floor in and up, and then engaging your girdle muscles. Now squeeze your left glute and bring that left leg up, bend the knee. Shift it up to the sky. And now just with that bent knee, drop the leg back down. So I'm trying not to lean into the right. Inhale, exhale, start the exhale. Squeeze the left glute and lift it up. Bring it back down slowly. Now while you're here, if you're not sure if that right or if that left glute is firing, you might just kind of balance yourself with your right arm across for a moment. Reach back there, literally, and see if it's firing. You should be able to feel it fire off when you lift. Otherwise, you can lift your leg without as much action from your glute and getting more action from your hamstrings, but we want more in the glute. Okay, so bring it down. Let's try it again. 2 more. Inhale, exhale, lift. Bring it back down. Trying not to let your belly button fall forward, your hips fall forward. You want to keep them dialed up, not tucked, just pull in. And then exhale. That's your powerhouse. Glutes acting with your core. Okay, this is what really propels you through life. Literally, it propels you forward. Okay, your hip flexors and your hamstrings help to propel you forward. Go ahead and bring that leg back to center. We're going to shift it back, heel to the wall behind you. Now drop the toes down and lift it again. So your lever is longer. Okay, that's it. Inhale, exhale, up. Last 3. So I really want you to feel that glute firing. The glute on the opposite side is also firing. So don't think that if you feel it over there, you're doing something wrong. It's stationary but firing. Okay, last one. Now hold it here. Bend the knee. Take your left hand to the floor. We're going to lift up on that left hand. Start to rotate your right leg behind you. And now you flipped it over into a little side plank. Okay, if it was a little cumbersome getting there, just bring yourself down and pop it back up into this side plank, adjust as needed. And we're going to take that leg forward and bring it back. Same thing. I want you to really engage your core like when you were seated on the floor. If that means bending your knee a little, that's fine. Bend your knee a little, bring it forward without allowing yourself to fall back. So don't let your body kind of shift back behind you. And then move forward this way, bowing out. Okay, so inhale, 3, exhale, 2, last 1, and bring it down. Very good. Drop that foot. We're going to roll all the way back to center. And then just come up to your hands and bring that left leg forward. So sweep it up and step it to the top. If it kind of gets stuck along the way, just get your hand around that ankle and help kind of flop it up there a little bit. All right, so now that right knee is moving back, not too far back. So let's bring it in a little more than we might usually. Okay. So we're gonna lift up. You can walk your left foot over to the left, give yourself some space here. All right, so check out your front knee. We're gonna start with that knee and heel alignment. And then whenever we shift back a little bit, you should have a little bit more of an angle on the shin and your hip in line with your back knee now. So I'm gonna stay here, get tall, rotate the leg that's back, the right leg, rotate that internally. So it's like you were, if this was your leg, I would rotate it this way, in, thumb would go down. So same thing here, outer thigh to inner thigh, rotate it in, inhale, lift tall, drop your tail. Okay. Shift forward, just place your hands here to the outside of your leg, like you're gently kind of pulling yourself around, not too deep. And then inhale, come back up. Okay, exhale, come forward. Inhale, come up. All right, let's try that 3 more times. That internal rotation of your right inner thigh and your left leg stays right where it is. You just pull your chest around a little bit. Inhale. We're going to kind of unwind and then wind it back up a little. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. And bring it back up. Now releasing that side. Go ahead and sweep the leg back. We're going to be taking that all to the second side. I'm just going to flip to make it easier to see. You can kind of flip however you like if you're already in a good position. All right, so we're going to take all the way down to the mat again. We're going to activate that glute. Okay, so pull up through the rib cage. Inhale. As you exhale, really think about lifting through your pelvic floor first. Then those TAs or transverse abdominals, they engage. Blow it out. Let's just take that first breath to center. Now, with your next exhale, go ahead and lift that right leg up. Let's just take the heel up. Pause. Make sure that right glute is firing. You want to feel it more in your glute than anything else right here. And your core, of course, working. Bring it down. Inhale. Exhale. Kick it up. Really focus. Think of this as if you were flipped over and you were in a 1-leg bridge or a single leg bridge and you had to push yourself up with just the 1 leg and the opposite leg was lifted instead of anchored. Okay, so exhale. Feel that connection, your core working. Relax around your neck. Don't shrug or get too tense there. So notice what's not working and find some ease in those spaces. Okay, so last 3, 2, last 1. Really focus on the breath. Good, straighten it out. Push that heel all the way to the back of the room. Now with that really long straight leg, exhale, lift. So you really may feel more now happening through your glutes, but also your hamstrings and your quadricep. So your quadricep, the top of your leg, has helped you to extend your leg all the way down to your foot. Okay, so it helps you to straighten your leg. Your hamstrings and your glutes are helping you to extend or pull your leg back. Your core is stabilizing for the whole fun ride. All right, 1 more. Pause here, bend the knee, bring your right hand all the way back to the mat. Start to spin, okay, come up on the hands if you need to, but start to spin with that left leg rotating back, and we reach up. Okay. So if you needed to come down to the mat, just kind of readjust, it's okay. Okay, get yourself back up there in that little star plank, and we'll bring it forward and back. So think of when you were seated, ribs and hips were connected. You lifted that leg against the resistance of you making sure your core, so if you need to keep your knee bent, go for it. Hamstrings could be pulling on your leg when it comes forward, pulling on your pelvis. So just adjust accordingly. Once again, if it bothers your neck, look down. Last 3. Squeeze that glute, but make sure your core is active too. Last one. Very good. Bring the right hand down. Flip yourself back around. Let's send that right leg all the way up. Give it a nice little stretch along the way. Help it if it gets stuck. So let's bring that back knee. If your front knee is right over your heel, your back knee is just slightly behind your hip. Okay? As you come up, it looks a little like that, right? So that back knee slightly behind the hip. But then when I shift back, I'm going to have more of an angle on the shin and be more stacked here. Okay, so find that position. Make sure that when you come forward, your knee still does not go past your heel or toes. Inhale. I want you to first, before we go anywhere, check it out just before we go here. So the leg that's in front, oftentimes that hip is hiked up. So I want you to bring that back down. Now find the internal rotation of this inner thigh, like you're rotating from the outside. If I had little arrows that are pointing in, it would wrap around to the inside. Okay? And I'm keeping that. So now I need to kind of adjust my stance. All right, so same thing. And we're doing it here. Inhale. Exhale, place your hands to the outside. Kind of gently pull yourself around as you're gently moving forward. Okay, so inhale, come up. Exhale. Make sure you feel comfortable on your back knee. Okay, inhale, lift up. Unwind a little bit. Exhale. Just a slight little movement and drop that hip down. Keep it heavy. Inhale. So I have to keep my hand here sometimes to remind myself. This side is long. Exhale. Okay, 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Deep breath. So you're still getting lots of core work here, even though we're not doing crunches and a lot of other movements that might be considered core. Just the breathing is core work, right? So your diaphragm is part of your core as well. Now let's bring it back to center. Go ahead and bring your hands forward, turn the toes under on the back foot, and just kind of pop that back leg up and come to stand. So just forward bend for a moment. Bring your hands above your knees. Slowly bring yourself back upright. Oh, okay. We're going to move the blanket out of the way. We're going to work on a little balance while we're here. Okay, so I thought we might even need our, you can use your elevated space actually. If you do have that, you could use it if your balance gets a little off and as we start to move forward. Okay, so near a wall, near a piece of furniture, wherever you want to be, but try to see if you can do this just with your own body weight and balance first. Okay, so similar to where we've been already, we're just going to put this together in standing and then we're done today. Okay, so we're going to start by bringing up, so I'll face you first. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the right leg, so your right leg. Inhale, I want you to anchor and then start to exhale. Slowly lift that leg up. Bring it back down. We're moving very slowly. Try not to just look at me. Look somewhere beyond the screen. Anchor through your foot. Spread those toes wide. Push into your big toe. From your big toe, your arch, and up your inner leg line all connects into your rooted core. All right, so inhale. Exhale. Pull up and in. It's okay if your balance is a little wobbly. Like I said, if you don't look at a screen or something that's moving, it might make it better. And bring it back down. I'm trying to keep those hips level still. Okay, so I'm going to continue from here. I'll show you from this angle. Inhale. Exhale, slowly lift. Think of when you were seated and you had to lift that leg up without moving. And lower it down. All right. So now step the leg back. I didn't move anything else. Didn't shift, didn't bend, didn't hinge. All right. I'm just extending this leg. So I want you to extend it back, whatever feels natural. Just tap the toe to the floor. All right. Reach back there. Squeeze the glute. Literally with your hand. Squeeze the glute and squeeze the muscle. So contract the muscle. What happens here? We can take that leg back. This is a good example of how you could take your leg back and that can stay really soft and squishy. All right, glute isn't doing anything at all. If we do this in daily life, our back's gonna hurt. So I want you to pull up through the glute. Pull up through your core, all right? Arms go out to the sides like a big airplane. Start to lift that leg as you slowly hinge forward. Now this hip flexor is working. Okay, come forward just a little bit. And now come back to center. I want you to sweep that leg up to center. Take it down. Maybe tap it along the way if you need to recenter your balance, and then reach it back. Squeeze the glute to lift and bring it back to center. Take a breath. Start your exhale. Lift the leg. Inhale. Exhale, extend. Push into your right big toe, or your left big toe, excuse me, whichever one's on the floor, and bring it back to center. All right, let's try that on the other side. I want you to shake out the side you were standing on. Okay, so don't forget, so many things that are happening here, but try to always focus on the feet first. Well, second, get your core going first. Your pelvic floor really is the first thing that's gonna fire, but we really want that grounding before anything happens. All right, so ground first. Deep breath. We're going to take that opposite leg now. Shoulders relax back. Exhale, pull up. And bring it back down. So I want you to notice, are you feeling this more in your hip, or are you really focused on your core? Okay, so deep breath. Start your exhale. Think of it, I think of it kind of like a hydraulic, right? That as it kind of goes down. Yeah. So try that again. Inhale. Exhale, lift. Blowing out the air, and it's lifting the leg. It's like magic. Okay. And now we're going to step it back very slowly. Just extend back. I didn't lean or shift forward. Okay, just extending the leg back. Okay, now inhale. Hand on the glute. Don't be afraid. It's your glute. All right. Squeeze. Maybe that side contracted easier. Who knows, right? Just take note which side fires quicker. That's something to know. Okay, drop it back down. Let's try it again. Inhale. Stay lifted. Float. Now if you feel any pain or discomfort in your back, I want you to really assess and shift your hips a little, so even them out. Let's take that leg back, lift, start to come forward a little more, and bring it back down. Let's try one more like that. Exhale, brace first. Blow it out. Come back, inhale. Continue, exhale, lift to the front. Inhale, take it down. Exhale to the back. Glute firing. Inhale, pause. Exhale. All right, come on, we've got one more each direction. You're almost there. Take it back. Press through your standing big toe. Come back. And bring it down. All right, very, very good. So I want you to, just for a moment, kind of take one foot at a time and trace it like you're tracing an outline all the way around it. Okay, and then reverse that circle or oval or whatever shape that is, rectangle-ish. And then the other way, other side, all the way around. So notice if you try to trace your whole outer edge of your foot, the whole leg's gonna move, which is great. So we're getting some mobility in the hip as well. Go ahead and rotate the other way. And we bring it back to center. All right, take a big, nice, wide stance. If you have blocks or something to put your hands on, you may want to take that here. We're going to do a forward bend. So maybe a coffee table, something like that, that could be in front of you. Your toes are going to be forward. Inhale, sweep up. Soften the knees just a little bit. Hinge it forward. Bring your hands to an elevated surface or down to the floor and let your head fall, getting a stretch in your back with your knees softly bent, but support under your hands. Take a couple of breaths. walk it over toward your right. So again, even if it's on an elevated space, just walk your hands over, or if you've got blocks, walk them with you over to your right. I want you to walk up that right leg, place your left hand on top of your right thigh above your knee, lift your chest, and then just rotate, pull it back. Keep that other hip moving back. Both of your hips are pressing into a wall. Bring it back down, walk yourself back down all the way over to the other side. Hold it here, take a breath. Walk up that leg right above your knee. Right hand is to your knee. Now, make sure you're not dropping your right hip down. Hips are back, pressed into a wall as though they're in a wall. Lift and reach back. Just kind of rotate back. So notice I leaned back here a little. Rotating. And then bring it back to center. Walk it back down. Take both hands right above the knees. Start to round yourself up with bent knees. Come all the way up. Heel toe the feet in. Let's take left leg over the right leg. This will challenge your balance again. So we're swapping, taking that one leg over. So if you're mirroring, it's the left side. Tail is long. Squeeze the knees together. Okay, so there's a little, it'll make a little bend in your knees. Just a little bit right there. Okay, so squeeze those knees together. Left arm reaches up. It's like a standing mermaid. And reach. Bring it back down, switch sides. So take that right leg over. Bend the back knee into the front knee just a little bit. Squeeze those thighs together. Sweep your right arm. And bring it back all the way to center. Take the feet just slightly apart, parallel, and do a little swing. Very free swing here. Come back all the way to center where you started by standing. Take the feet a little bit wider. Inhale, sweep up. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Give yourself a little bow for showing up today, for doing something good for you, and for focusing on your deeper core.